Okay, lesson 7 is writing equivalent equations. Your book uses this variable, and I don't want to use it, so I'm going to change it. It uses I. I don't want to use that because later on we're going to use I to stand for something completely different, and it won't make sense to you if I start using it as a variable right now. So we're going to change it. Okay? This formula is going to be x equals 12f. X is going to be inches. Okay? X is going to be inches, F is going to be feet. So it's basically just a conversion. What it tells you is 12 multiplied by however many feet you have give you your inches. Okay? So, suppose that you want to know the number of feet in 156 inches. So all you would do is take your inches, plug it in, set 156, just like that, and solve. So 12F equals 156. How do I solve? Divide by 12. Simple, right? So I'm left with F equals whatever 156 divided by 12 is. Somebody help me? It's 13.
It's 13.
Okay? So the answer is 13 feet. Okay, now I want to show you what they're going to have us do. Some of these will not even deal with a number. They'll give you an equation like x equals 12f, and they'll say isolate f. In other words, find the feet, right? So instead of giving you a number to solve it for, they'll just say, if I wanted to use this equation to solve for f, how would the equation transform? So I would still do the same thing. Notice that over here, you had to divide everything by 12. Well, over here, you would still have to divide everything by 12. Okay? So when I divided everything by 12, I just got f equals x over 12. Okay? I cannot change that equation anymore. Do not try to divide these two things. They are not able to be divided by. Okay? You just rewrite it down. Don't make it complicated. Just rewrite it down. Okay? Any questions about that? Alright, we're going to move to another equation. This one's kind of, when I say kind of, it's really complex. So here we go. F equals, on top there is an open parenthesis, 6.67 multiplied by 10 to the negative 11th, close parenthesis, m sub 1, m sub 2 being multiplied by each other over r squared. Now, once you get that all written down, I'll explain kind of what it is. Gravity is one of the fundamental forces that governs how objects interact with each other. Since the days of Galileo and Newton, people have wanted to work and understand it. Through experimentation, scientists determined that the force of gravity, F is force of gravity, okay, between two objects depends on their masses, which are m1 and m2, and r, the distance between them. So r actually stands for distance between. The masses. Alright, so the formula is used to calculate just that, gravity, okay? So astronomers searching the universe to discover new planets have used this relationship to learn about the objects that they find in space. By studying the orbit of a planet around its star, they can determine the force of gravity between the planet and the star. The relationship between mass and gravity allows them to calculate the planet's size, its mass. So you can rearrange this formula for the force of gravity to be a formula for the mass of one object. So basically what it's telling us is isolate the mass of one of these objects. Using this formula, knowing the force of gravity, we can find the mass of a planet by isolating one of these objects. Okay, so we're going to see if we can figure out how to do that. Should be interesting. So, I'm going to use this formula, so I've just got to rewrite it. I've now defined everything. It says isolate one of the masses. It doesn't necessarily tell you which one to isolate, so I'm just going to go mass 1, just for simplicity's sake. Okay? So, rewrite the formula. F equals 6.67 times 10 to the negative 11th, close parentheses, mass 1, mass 2, over the distance between them squared. All right. I'm going to isolate this guy, okay? So, order of operations, okay? Always think order of operations backwards. PEMDAS. All right, looking for addition and subtraction. There's nothing there. There's multiplication and division. On multiplication and division, I have to start from the bottom up, okay? Got to go backwards here. So I need to get rid of this divide by r squared. How do you get rid of a divide? You have to multiply. And what would I be multiplying by? R squared, right? Just as if this was a 2, I would still multiply by whatever is on bottom. Okay? So it's r squared. I'm just going to do that to both sides. So I've multiplied by r squared on both sides. The whole reason we did that was to make those cancel. So I'm going to rewrite my equation just so I can show step by step what I'm doing here. And now I don't have anything on bottom. So f multiplied by r squared is equal to 6.67 times 10 to the 11th, negative 11th, multiplied by m sub 1 multiplied by m sub 2. Again, I'm going to square off the one I'm isolating just so that I know I'm trying to keep that one there and move everything else away. Okay, right now I see a whole bunch of multiplication. This is being multiplied by this is being multiplied by this. So, how do I get rid of multiplication? I have to divide. Here's a quicker way to do this. Instead of dividing by each piece at different steps, going, okay, I'm going to divide by m sub 2 here, and m sub 2 here, and then going to the next step and saying, okay, I'm going to divide by this. I can divide by all of it all at one time. So all I'm going to do, since this is being multiplied and this is being multiplied, is I'm just going to divide it all out. Put that in parentheses. I'm just dividing each of these out. So that cancels, and these things on top cancel as well. Well, what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I've now divided by this bunch of stuff right here, and I'm left with the only thing that I wanted, which was the mass of one of those planets. So, to find the mass of a planet, I would take its force multiplied by its distance squared, and I would divide it by this number that they did not explain, which I'm sure has to do with the force of gravity in some way, multiplied by the mass of the secondary object. So, we are done. This problem seems complex, but I want to remind you that we literally did not have to multiply or divide anything and actually do it. All we did was move stuff. Okay? So you don't necessarily have to do the arithmetic, the adding, multiplying, dividing. You just have to know that the opposite of multiplication is division and the opposite of division is multiplication. Okay? So all we did was move a bunch of stuff around. We're going to do some more examples, don't worry. So, this equation is the one they were wanting us to get. Go ahead and flip to the next page if you have not done so already. There is a formula on the next page that we will use a bunch in science. We'll use it a bunch here too, but it's primarily designed for science. The reason it's primarily designed for science is because America is weirdos. We use Fahrenheit, the rest of the world uses Celsius, and we want to make life hard on ourselves, basically. Okay? So, this formula, F stands for Fahrenheit, and C stands for Celsius. Okay? So, this formula converts Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay? Notice that C is the input here, and F is the output. So, C, we put in Celsius, we get Fahrenheit out. This would only work if some American scientists sent something to any other country in the world and told them that they had to convert it themselves. For all the rest of the data that we get from anywhere else, we have to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. So this equation will do us pretty much no good. We have to get it to the point where Celsius is over here and Fahrenheit is in the equation. Okay, so I need to isolate Celsius. So I'll put a square around it. Now, order of operations backwards. So I need to see if there's any addition and subtraction in here. There is. Okay, so I'm going to ignore this one and try to get rid of my plus 32. How to get rid of a plus 32? You subtract it, right? So now I have f minus 32 is equal to 9/5 c, right? Oh, sorry, I didn't write that on this side. So I subtracted 32 on both sides. I literally didn't have to do the subtraction. I just wrote it down. Okay? This is just knowing your steps. Alright, so now I'm still trying to isolate my c. How do you get rid of a multiply by 9/5?
Divide.
You have to divide, but can you divide fractions? What do you have to do? You have to multiply by the reciprocal. What is the reciprocal of 9/5? 5/9. So what I do to one side, I must do to the other. So this 9/5 and 5/9 cancel each other out. C equals 5/9 multiplied by f minus 32, and you're done. Now somebody should be asking me, why'd you put parentheses around it? Well, thank you. That's a great question, Colton. I'm glad you asked. If I didn't put parentheses around it, I wouldn't know that I multiplied this entire thing by 5/9. Because actually, if you didn't know what f was, you would have to distribute this 5/9. But we're hoping that they give us what Fahrenheit is, right? So that we don't have to do distribution of 5/9, because I don't want to multiply by fractions twice. Okay? Then they'll run us a scenario. So let's do one that we know. I know that 212 degrees Fahrenheit is boiling, right? 212. So I want to know what that is in Celsius. And some of you already know that answer. Does anybody know? 100, right? So if I take 212 degrees Fahrenheit and plug it in, I should get 100. So let's check our work. So I'm going to take my Fahrenheit, plug her in. I'm going to subtract it from 32, and then I'm going to end up multiplying that all by 5/9. Calculator will be immensely helpful here. So 212 minus 32 will give us what? Say it. 180. Multiplied by 5/9. If you have your calculators, guys, there is always a confusion. So I just want to clarify that a fraction is all 5/9 is, okay? Yeah, I'm going to work on that. Still didn't help, did it? It's a little bit better. Alright, anyways, if I want to put in 5/9, I just put in 5 divided by 9. Can y'all see that, sort of? 5 divided by 9 is the same thing as 5/9. It's fraction, it's division, every single time, okay? Then all I do is multiply that by, we got 180, and I press enter. Boom, I got 100, that was what I was searching for, and we're good to go, okay? So this equals 100 degrees Celsius. I've seen some work, some fantastic work. Somebody showed their work and did everything that they were supposed to do, and then they put 100 degrees and then didn't label it Celsius. And I had to count it wrong, because you didn't tell me what you were converting to. I count off 1 point for not having your label, Will. You count off a lot more points if you stab somebody with a pen. Alright. We got one more conversion on this page at least.
Just like that.
Here we go. PV. P multiplied by V equals 8.31 lowercase n multiplied by capital T. Okay, it tells us what all these stand for. P is pressure, V is volume, N is the amount of gas, and T is temperature. So this is the ideal gas law. Basically, this is telling you what kind of pressure is created based off of all of these variables. Okay, so they would plug it in for any situation and solve. They want us to rewrite this equation for N. Okay, so I just square off N. Kind of made my T disappear a little bit. There, a little bit better. What is happening to N that I need to do opposite of? What operation is happening to N? Multiplication. So I know I have to divide. What am I going to divide by? 8.3 is one of them. And T, because I also have to get rid of T, right? So
thought it was 8.3.
Oh, yeah, I lost a 1. 8.31. Thank you. Okay, so I divided by my t, I divided by 8.31. I'm left with n now on the right-hand side. But what I do to one side, I must do to the other. Division property of equality states that. And I am done. Okay, so while these look like big, ginormous problems, notice that I did that in less than 20 seconds. Okay, don't let these get a hold of you. If you think it's hard, ask for help. It's not something that should take up a lot of your time. Okay, flip to your next page. Juanita works as a salesperson at an electronics store. She earns a base salary of $400. I'm just writing down the information. Each week, plus a 10% commission on her total sales. Her weekly pay is described by the equation pay equals 400 plus her 10% commission on her sales. P is her total weekly pay, S is her total weekly sales, and Juanita did not keep track of her sales last week, but her pay was $1,380. I need to change jobs. Rewrite the given equation to find S, so I need to rewrite this so that S is isolated and it's by itself. Okay, first of all, why is 10% written as 0.1? Because you can't multiply a number by a percentage, you have to multiply it by its decimal equivalent. So 0.1 is the decimal equivalent, is the answer I'm looking for, but you're not wrong. 0.1 is the decimal equivalent of 10%. So I want to isolate S. Got to get this thing by itself. So first I got to get that whole term by itself. What do I got to get rid of? 400. I got to get rid of the addition and subtraction, right? So I subtract 400 to both sides. Because I don't know P minus 400, I'm just going to write it down. So P minus 400 equals 0.1 multiplied by S. How do I get rid of 0.1 now?
You divide by 0.1.
Gotta divide by. Whoops, that's supposed to be a decimal. 0.1. Divide by 0.1. So 0.1 goes away. I now have S equals her pay minus 400 divided by 0.1. So here's our general formula for how much her sales were going to be. Now the question will break us down. It says to rewrite it first and then answer the problem. So it said that her sales, or sorry, her pay was 1,380. So I'm going to take this equation, I'm going to plug in her pay. So 1,380 minus 400 divided by 0.1 equals S. And that's all I need to find. So 1380 subtract 400 gives me 920. Is that right? 1380 subtract 400 gives me 920. Somebody check me. 900. Oh, yeah, you're right. 980. See, this is why you don't shake my word for things. One mistake. Divide by 0.1. What do you get? 9,800. Since S stands for sales, sales are in what? Guys, dollars, thank you. Sales are in dollars. So she sold almost 10 grand worth of stuff, and her pay was $1,380. It's a pretty good commission rate. If you don't know what commission is, let me explain it real quick. It is how much money you earn off of selling a particular item. So she sold $10,000 worth of stuff, basically, and she earns a percentage of those sales to complement her pay. Car salesmen work in this way. Furniture salesmen, like Aaron's, probably work in this way. Believe it or not, the propane companies work in this way. If you pump so many gallons of propane, you get like a penny a gallon or something like that. So you get an amount based off of this. Mechanics work in this way. You get a percentage of how much work you do in the week. Okay? All right. The notes are basically done.